Okay, this is the HVAC indoor air handler video, and with a small slight nod to the attic video too. We're in the upper attic, and this is our HVAC indoor air handler. This is the furnace, this is the evaporator coil, there's your air filter over here. So in regard to the furnace, the only thing that I can come up with, I'm not coming up with anything. The only thing that stands out to me, all right, is the gas pipe is not protected. I don't want people stepping on my gas pipe. Do you want people stepping on your gas pipe? I don't know. Coming over here, use as an example, see this gutter that's been built around it's upside down gutter, but that's what they call it. But gutter is protective. Okay, see that? That's for your refrigerant piping, so you don't have to step on it. We need something similar for our gas pipe. If you park a big fat technician up here to work on your system, where do you think he's going to step? Okay, so that's one thing with the furnace. The other thing with the furnace that I notice is that these girders that come out to support it, all right, they extend out past the pan. This pan's supposed to go out 3 inches, which I doubt it does. 3 inches past the cabinet, because this is a high efficiency. That's why this is your exhaust piping. That's why your exhaust pipe can be plastic, is because we've extracted all the heat out of it. And so that creates condensate. And since it creates condensate, because we extracted all the heat out before we expelled the gases, then if the condensate leaks, it leaks onto the pan. Okay, that's why in older units you only have a pan that's this big. But now we've got one that encompasses the whole indoor air handler, because all parts of this system can leak. And if the water runs out these girders that I'm talking about past the pan and then falls off onto the floor, onto your ceiling, and I'm going to look in the manual and see if I can get an illustration of how to better install these. But the last time I did that, relying on memory, the old memory thing here, is if these girders are supposed to be run horizontally instead of vertically. I'm calling it horizontal and vertical. I don't know what else to call it. So that's it. The girders extend the pan, and the gas piping is not protected with a gutter. So now onto the evaporator coils. I can find no wrong. There's nothing wrong with the evaporator coils the way they are. I mean, the installation itself is pretty much textbook. So can't find anything wrong with that guy. So that gives us the ventilation. Heating, cooling, ventilation. That's the way it reads in your inspection report. I'm trying, and I can't, but I'm trying to stay in the order of your report. Create some redundancy, you become familiar with it. So one thing I'm noticing with our ventilation system is that I don't see the attic is not ventilated. This is and now we're going to go back to the shout out to the attic video. But this is an enclosed attic, means it does not have any air coming into it, any air exhausting. We do not have any insulation on our attic floor. Our insulation is on the attic ceiling. This is air-conditioned space, just like that is air-conditioned space, and it all stays the same. And believe it or not, it's very efficient. You say, well, I don't want to air-condition my attic unnecessarily, but this insulation is so much better than what you'd have on anyway. So the attic is supposed to be ventilated, is what I'm trying to get around to. You're supposed to have air circulating from the attic through the system, and then air circulating from the attic through the system and back into the attic. Just like this air is coming from downstairs, and then it's going to other places downstairs. It's being distributed all around. And so that's fine. This is not, but we do not have any ventilation for our attic. And this is pretty common in new construction. But our air filter is filthy from construction dust. All right. So our air filter is dirty, and they know that, you know that, and I know that, and it's supposed to be replaced. Now it says here that we've got 20 by 25 by 4, or 1. If you have a 1-inch filter, it gets replaced once a month. When you get your utility bill, change your filter. Pretty easy. And that's usually the best way to go. But the fact is that most of us don't change our air filters when we should, whether it's once a month or 3 times a month. So if you put the 4-inch, and this goes for 2 things. One, if you're lazy like I am, the 4-inch filter will go for 3 months. Or if you're very sensitive to, pets, dander, or some other kind of allergens, then the 4-inch filter would be good if you're an environmentally sensitive individual. But that's the way it works, 1 inch or 4 inches. I like 1 inch better. I use 4-inch. I'm a hypocrite. You through, bud? No, I'm not through. No, I'm not through at all. Coming down here, speaking of our air duct, because this is the ventilation part, okay? And all I've done so far is complain about the air filter. And so all I've done so far is complain about the fact that the attic is not ventilated. So we're not supposed to have stuff draped over our insulation, our air duct. We're not supposed to have more than 1/2 inch sag in our air duct. This nylon webbing, it's like the elastic in a cheap pair of underwear. Is that going to curl? I don't know. Looks like it's about to. Looks like it's curling to me a little bit here. This is what it does. See, when the tension causes it to curl like the elastic band in a cheap pair of underwear, and then it cuts into you like the elastic band of a cheap pair of underwear. So all this webbing should have had saddles installed underneath it. Okay, beneath it on the bottom sides. I've seen the saddles made out of metal, really appreciated that. But most of the time I've seen it made out of cardboard, and I can't find any fault with that. I just like metal better than cardboard. If it was cardboard, we wouldn't be having this conversation. So, but since we don't have any, let you know what your options are, those kinds of things. Now coming over here, more than 1/2 inch sag, more than 1/2 inch sag. You know what air duct is not supposed to do? It's not supposed to touch each other. That can create condensation. Okay, and when it creates condensation, it's going to drip down onto your floor, which is your ceiling, and onto your floor, under your head. Anyway. So, and then we come over here. Air duct's not supposed to be touching each other. Air duct's not supposed to be touching a plumbing vent waste pipe. It's not supposed to be touching that. Okay? This can condensate. It'll run down the pipe. Okay? What else is it not supposed to do, bud? It's not supposed to be touching the attic insulation. It's not supposed to be touching the attic insulation. That can condensate. That can condensate. I didn't make these rules up. I didn't wake up this morning wondering how I was going to... I did not, I don't do that. I do wake up every morning and I come to work.